The guys with the background of the Polynesian background, I have yet to see one that didn't play incredibly hard and passionate. So, I mean, I think having those guys on your team, and I've talked to Polynesian recruiting analysts who say that's just kind of the mentality of those guys. So, listen, if you got one of those guys on your team, I remember JT Mapu was one that gave every single ounce on every single play. So I think that's what you're looking for out of a guy like that, and I think he'll be able to give you that.
I agree. It's funny you say that because it's Keenan Pili is Mormon. He did a mission, and Mapu. I remember JT Mapu was when he left school for 2 years to do a mission in the middle of his Tennessee career.
Mm.
I I'm not devoutly religious, but I do have a belief that people who are devoutly religious are oftentimes at peace to a certain degree, and it kind of allows them to play harder. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're mentally at peace at more than a lot of other people. And that's if you're Mormon, that's if you're Southern Protestant like Reggie White, and it's or Tim Tebow for that matter. But I agree. There seems to be you see a lot of that with those guys. Jesse Mahelona, that's true. Rest in peace. Passed away in a car crash about 13 years ago, but played really hard for Tennessee at defensive tackle. I remember.
He was phenomenal, and I'm probably, because I'm getting older, combining some of those memories. But certainly Jesse Mahelona, how many shoestring tackles did he have?
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
just more, and that was just pure effort more than anything else. He was phenomenal.
One a person of Polynesian descent, I forgot who was not the best at giving his all, and that was Albert Toyana. And
Yeah. Um, I go back to Albert, and I thought you might mention his name. I thought he had heavy feet from the get go. I didn't think he was naturally talented. Played left tackle, but I also think that was a year in which he hit what should have been his best year, where there was just coaching issues across the board. And, um, at one point, I was told that he left practice early and quit the team, and they had to beg him to come back. And there was another point where he supposedly spat at a reporter. And I recall we got the parents had the video, and he spat on the ground in front of the reporter, did not spit on the camera person, not a reporter, a camera person. And I've saw the video because I remember the Tweena's calling me and saying, can, for whatever reason, halfway to Gatlinburg was where they got a hotel, and meeting them at Country Inns and Suites in the conference room and watching the tape. So I thought he was a bit misunderstood. I thought that he was a guy that they just threw off the team pretty easily because they wanted to make a statement. But he wasn't a great player. I will say this. He was a very average offensive lineman, just his play alone. But I thought he kind of got a bad rap
That might
leaving.
be fair. I
Leaving.
thought the whole offensive line that year in 2005, we always talk about the quarterback issues, but I just remember the offensive line seemed to be completely out of shape that year.
Well, and also Albert Toina was one of those guys that you fall in love with. If you're a Philip Fulmer guy who loves his Jimmys and Joes more than the X's and O's, you see a guy who's 345 pounds, and I think he was like 607, or he's 6'7". That is the guy that you fall in love with if you're a talent guy, but that's not the guy who's necessarily got great feet and is able to move around.